Hi, my name is Jack Smith. I'm going to be teaching you how to use and operate a AMMCO brake lathe for the use of machining brake rotors and brake drums. An AMMCO brake lathe can be very dangerous if used improperly. So to start, let's go over safety apparel. You might want to bring safety impact gloves, OSHA certified goggles, tight fitting clothes, closed-toed shoes, and if you have long hair or nose rings, metal bands to keep those in check so they don't dangle into any pieces while they're moving or any machinery. Now, let's familiarize ourselves with the AMMCO brake lathe. This component right here is the twin cutter. If we see over here, we have two blades. These are adjustable by these knobs. These knobs have both millimeter and inch increments. Adjusting them clockwise moves them in closer, and adjusting them counterclockwise will move them further away. You also have two lock knobs to lock them in place once you've gotten them where you want them to be, and to unlock them. Next to that, this is the cross-feed hand wheel right next to the twin cutter. This adjusts the feed rate. The feed rate is the distance the cutter moves across the length of the work for every revolution of the spindle. The spindle, or the spindle arbor, is this long metallic rod right here. This is where you attach the work and the spacers. To adjust the spindle, we have another hand wheel back here to move it back and forth to better correspond with the twin cutter. And then to the right here, we also have an on and off switch. Now we also have lock knobs for both the spindle arbor assembly. We also have lock knobs for the feed rate assembly. Now we also have a lever in the back here to automate the feed rate process for when we actually turn on the machine and we're trying to cut the work. Now that we have familiarized ourselves with the lathe, we have a face shield on the back here and rubber dampeners to wrap around a brake drum to stop vibration when it's on the spindle. Now we have that out of the way, we can get on to measuring. Now to measure for runout or wear on a rotor or a drum, we're going to use a digital brake dial caliper and measure on several points of the face of the rotor or the drum. Then subtract the lowest value from the highest value, and the remainder will tell you how much to take off with the lathe. Now before measuring, to ensure a more precise measurement, use chemicals such as denatured alcohol, like isopropyl alcohol, to clean the surface on the rotor or the drum. Also, clean the hole in the middle of the rotor so you can install the chuck. Now the chuck has two holes, one with an arrow pointing upwards towards the larger teeth and one towards the smaller teeth. Now the smaller teeth are meant for rotors, and in our case we're using a rotor. So the hole for the small teeth is actually reverse threaded, so we're going to turn it counterclockwise rather than clockwise, or lefty-tighty instead of righty-tighty. But the larger teeth, however, are still righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now place the chuck with the small teeth or the large teeth into the indented portion of your brake, rotor, or drum, respectively, using a chuck key or a ratchet to tighten the teeth. Using the rotor/drum with the chuck, place the chuck face on first, like so. Now we're going to go to the lock nut. The lock nut is reverse threaded, and since we have some space on the spindle arbor still, there's a side with extra space. We're going to place that side on. It's reverse thread, so it's lefty loose, lefty tighty. And we're gonna grab a 1 1/4 wrench, open end wrench, sort of bump it. I'll lock it on. Now we're gonna start working on our rotor. I forgot to lock the other side of the chuck onto the spindle. So we find the arrow. There's two holes. One is attached to the brake rotor, the other is attached, and the other keys are attached to nothing, but they would be for a drum, but in this case they're gonna be to attach stronger to the spindle. Now we're gonna flip the switch on. Now, once you started it, you're going to actually want to adjust the cross-feed hand wheel so the twin cutter assembly is very close to the inner portion or closer to the chuck of the rotor or the drum. This is so when you activate the automatic assembly or the cross-feed assembly, that it cuts the entire rotor equally, as it only goes back towards you and not forward. So adjust it towards it like that. You have two knobs on the left and right. They both measure in both millimeters and in inches. Now moving these knobs counterclockwise will move them closer to the work, and moving them clockwise will move them further away. You want to get them just about right next to it so that you hear a slight scratching noise. It should sound like slight warbling or in and out small shearing cuts. It should sound like this. Zero out both of your knobs and turn them towards the amount that you're desiring to cut off that you've measured earlier. Once you've done that, you can engage the red lock knobs in front of the pane or the face shield glass. Then, using the switch in the back, pull it up and pull it towards you to engage the automatic feeding mechanism. This will automatically extend the blades across the length of the work, cutting evenly across the surface of the rotor or the drum. Now, the last thing to note is to ensure that you are next to the machine while it is on or in operation. Do not leave the machine unattended when the spindle arbor is moving. That is how to operate a AMMCO brake lathe. Thank you for watching.